Welcome to episode 41 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And on this episode, we'll be discussing 22 Jump Street, as well as the career of Michael Jackson. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com, or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or look us up on YouTube and iTunes and subscribe. Before we get started, as has become our weekly tradition, kind of talking about a little bit about movie news and stuff like that, nerd news. There is no new director for Ant-Man yet. That guy's still there, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him. Way to go, guy. Kept that job.
Hanging in there for a couple weeks now, all right.
Hanging in there, kitty. Kept that job for a week. We got a little disturbing news about Star Wars Episode 7. Han Solo himself had a little accident with the Millennium Falcon. And apparently I read a report on Yahoo yesterday that he had to actually get like a plate in his ankle.
Man.
So they said they're going to keep filming. His son was like, they'll have to shoot him from the waist up, I guess, for a little bit.
What do you want? He's old.
I know, exactly. I know. But that also kind of puts a...
Osteoporosis. Needs to be drinking more milk.
He does. More milk for Han Solo. Blue milk from Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
Even though she's dead. So, sorry, spoiler alert for anyone who's never seen Star Wars. Aunt Beru is dead. They,
burned alive.
I know, that's so it's so sad. It's like when he shot that scene, it's so far away, and like when you're a little kid, you're just like, oh no, I guess they're dead. But then when you're an adult, you're like, oh my god, that's horrific.
That was unnecessarily cruel.
That kind of actually ties into what we're going to talk about later with Michael Jackson. When you're a little kid, you listen to the song, you're like, yeah, this is great. And then you listen to Billie Jean when you're an adult, you're like, oh my god. You're like,
and then you find out the real news.
And then you find out that it's true. It's like, holy shit.
Mind blown.
You know, they should be fine. I mean, you know, but what this really does is this probably puts a little bit of a damper if he ever wanted to do Indiana Jones 5, which there's been rumors that they're trying to get somebody younger for that.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned if it's 5 or they're just looking to the future.
Right.
But yeah, there are definitely discussions of a story involving a younger Indiana Jones to kind of reboot the series.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that, but
I don't know.
It's not like James Bond, and we've kind of discussed it before. It's not like James Bond and Batman, which existed in media before.
Right.
Indiana Jones, was originated as a film by Harrison Ford, and it's going to be kind of weird, really, to see somebody else take it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. So,
I guess. I mean, Disney's wants to make their money off the property, but they could make their money on Indiana Jones in so many different ways, you know. And then the other big news is a schedule. Reported quote-unquote schedule leaked out from DC and Warner Brothers about a very, very ambitious slate of movies for the DC Comics.
Very ambitious.
It's almost so ambitious that you're like, I don't think half of this is going to happen when they think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But,
or if it does, they're really going to be putting out some slop. Like, quantity over quality, it seems.
Yeah. Basically, what the thing laid out was that starting in 2016 with the Batman vs. Superman movie, they're basically going to put out, 7 films or something like that in the span of 3 years? Yeah. 2016 was going to be like Batman and Superman, Shazam. Which is not too far off because there's been a rumor for a long time that The Rock was going to be involved in something, and it looks like it might be this.
That's an odd one to put in there.
Then they're doing Sandman, which is technically a DC Comics book, but he's not really connected to the superheroes.
Right, and that's been in the works now for...
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's been attached to that now for a while.
Right. And then in 2017, they're going to do Justice League, because that's supposedly going to film back-to-back with Batman Superman.
Right, and then...
And then they're going to do, Wonder Woman.
They have 2 in 1 year. Then they got they're talking about a Christmas release.
Oh, which would be Flash and Green Lantern.
And Green Lantern, yeah.
And the rumor is that going around that Ryan Reynolds will not be involved in that.
That's terrible.
Which I'm sure he's pissed about.
I'd be pissed about that too.
Because it wasn't, as we've said multiple times on the podcast, Green Lantern was not his fault.
Right.
And then in 2018, they said they're finally going to release Man of Steel 2. What's interesting about that slate is that there's no mention of any Batman film.
Right.
That's odd considering they went to this big thing,
putting them together, and they're just gonna.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's also news coming out.
That being said, they do need to build up the rest of the universe.
Oh, they do, definitely. But Ben Affleck ain't getting any younger either. So, I mean, if they cast him just to be basically in two Justice League movies,
waste,
and Batman and Superman is a waste, I guess. But then again, Christian Bale only did 3 himself, so nobody's done more than 3 movies as Batman. Actually, well, no, that is true because Kevin Conroy also did. Well, technically, he did the Batman Beyond movie, but he wasn't. He was Bruce Wayne in that, not Batman. And I guess in flashbacks he was. Anyway,
I apologize, folks. Doug nerded out for a minute.
I nerded out on Batman for a minute. And then the other big news that just came out is that it's been pretty much confirmed that Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones, has been cast as Aquaman, and he will be have at least a cameo in the next movie, and then setting him up for Justice League. The story that they put out there,
I believe, as they're flying, he jumps out of the water kind of like a seal and like waves at him, and then back in the water again.
Seals don't do that. Dolphins.
Yes, they do.
No,
Seals do that too, don't they?
No. Seals just sit on the beach.
Yeah,
And go,
they just suntan. They just suntan on the beach.
You're thinking dolphins. And they're mammals. Can he talk to dolphins? I guess he can. They're technically not fish.
They're not fish. The dolphin says back, go fuck yourself.
I'm busy over here. Did you hear about that lady who, well, it was on Bill Maher the other night, that trying to get dolphins to understand English or something like that, and then like when she's quote unquote teaching them, she like masturbates the dolphins. Yeah, it was like this weird thing. I was like, what? That's a thing?
This story comes to you by Doug's Fantasies.
No, it was on Bill Maher. Go check out the latest episode of Bill Maher.
Anywho,
he talks about his new rules. So yeah, so Aquaman and the story.
Weird cast for me. I don't know. I'm not saying it won't work. I just I can't put his image in my head as Aquaman.
The problem with him playing Aquaman is that Aquaman never marries and rapes a 14-year-old girl. Oh, sorry. Game of Thrones spoiler.
That you know of.
Sorry, Game of Thrones spoiler. If you never saw Game of Thrones or read it.
And I also hope that they don't mess with Aquaman's outfit too much.
They probably will.
I know they will. God.
They'll probably give him. I don't think he'll have the hook hand.
That's the only thing he has, man.
The orange shirt.
All he has is his orange scale shirt.
No,
don't take that away.
They probably won't give him the hook hand that they had in I guess it was the 90s. But he'll probably have the green pants with no shirt on. Yeah. I'm sure he'll have no shirt.
They'll probably lose the trident as well.
He might keep the trident.
I don't know.
He might.
Maybe.
Just as long as they keep the sound effect. For me, it's just like...
It is that sonar sound effect.
It's just like Transformers. When they did Transformers, I was like, if they don't keep the sound effect of the...
And of course...
Then fuck it.
Yeah.
They kind of have it in there, but it's kind of...
They played with it a little bit. Yeah, okay. All right.
I literally... once again, I saw a yellow VW bug on the road. And I yelled out the window, "Transform, Bumblebee! Transform!"
Yeah. You know what you don't say that to?
A Camaro.
A Camaro.
So that's what's going on in nerd movie news. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Comic-Con is next month. San Diego Comic-Con is next month. I'm sure we'll either get confirmation or denial on this DC story. Marvel's been kind of quiet, although they're still looking for their Doctor Strange. They usually play pretty close to the vest until Comic-Con, so I'm sure we're going to get some kind of footage or something maybe from Avengers.
And we may even probably could have our Doctor Strange by that time.
Possibly,
because, they've, as we talked to you last week, they got the director. So
right, he's in place.
By Comic-Con, we may very well have our Doctor Strange.
I hope they announce Black Panther. They really got to do Black Panther.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. And it would be awesome if they got Chiwetel Ejiofor to play him, but who knows?
They won't.
They probably won't. Oh well. Now I'm depressed.
It's all right.
So let's cheer up and let's talk about 22 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street is the sequel, obviously, to 21 Jump Street.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Yeah, you didn't put it together. Oh. Put it together. This is a film that it is a sequel, and that is the gag.
In every sense of the word.
Yes, that is the gag in the movie, that they constantly harp on the fact that this is a sequel, and it's probably not going to be as good as the last one.
In their dialogue, in the dialogue within the movie, they are doing tongue-in-cheek references to the fact that this is a sequel to 21 Jump Street.
Right. It's a very meta-level joke, and it's funny. I personally felt they beat it to death a little bit.
I thought it worked hilariously every time.
Because when it came from like their superiors, I thought it was really funny. But when they were just talking, like when Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, who were back for this one, when they were just talking, and then Jonah Hill was constantly bringing it up, I felt like they were kind of beating it.
I loved it.
But Nick Offerman, his whole speech about it, well, at least half of his speech is in the trailer.
And that's part of what you see in the trailer.
Yeah. And it's funny. He's like, this department spent a lot of money.
And then they go so far as to be like, we won't give you away all the gags.
Right.
They go so far as to say, I guess next year we'll be over there, and it shows like a construction site with the big sign that says 23 Jump Street condominium apartments or something like that, condominium complex.
So Channing Tatum, Jonah Hill, they're back. They have a great chemistry, great comedic chemistry.
They really do.
A lot of people, I think, were surprised with 21 Jump Street to see how funny Channing Tatum
myself included. Yeah,
he was great in that movie. He's really good in this one, really funny. Jonah Hill's great. One of my favorite bits is Jonah Hill ends up doing the walk of shame in this one, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
and
I like how he meets someone who he knows their name because they always pass each other in the mornings. Hey Tina.
This one is directed again by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and these guys are really blowing it up as far as comedy directors. They just came off of Lego Movie, which was a huge hit. They did the first 21 Jump Street. And they're also responsible for the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs films, which I have not seen, but I've heard they're pretty funny. So these guys are all over the place. They were rumored to have been offered Ghostbusters 3, and they turned it down. And they've also been offered a superhero film, they said. We don't know what the title is. Probably Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And so they turned that down, obviously, as well. And I think they're kind of taking a little break right now. I think one of the guys is going to direct some movie. Oh, and they're working with Will Forte on his TV show.
The TV show Last Man on Earth.
Yeah,
or something
which is interesting.
I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I'm curious to see how that is.
See a TV show with literally one person in it. I'm sure they have flashbacks. Would be
probably
a lot of flashbacks.
I guess.
But I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So, but anyway, basically, there's not much to talk about 22 Jump Street because we don't want to give away all the jokes.
Yeah, I mean, the to talk about it would be to talk about all the gags in it, which would be.
But basically,
too bad to spoil that.
It is essentially the first movie again, just amped up.
It is, and for me, actually, I thought it was funnier. I like this better.
I think I may have liked the first one better just because the first one felt.
Well, I mean, what I like about this better, you found grinding after a while.
Right.
I really laughed at all the tongue-in-cheek references.
There's one major twist that we won't spoil in the middle of the film that they mine that for so much comedy ever after, and it is hilarious. And
it involves Mr. Ice Cube.
Yeah, and Ice Cube. I mean, like, I don't go to see his movies like Are We There Yet? I didn't go see his movie with him and Kevin Hart. He was fucking hilarious in this movie. Yeah. He was so funny. Nick Offerman's great. If you've seen the trailer, Rob Riggle has a cameo coming back as the teacher.
They
But they cut out the best line from the trailer.
The line from the trailer you will not find in the movie, unfortunately.
You own this ass! They cut that out.
You do!
But I've heard that there's like 45 minutes of deleted scenes that'll be on the DVD or the Blu-ray. So
I can imagine. This whole movie is riddled with extra stuff that they could add in. I'm sure ad-libbed on the set.
This is
written by Jonah Hill, by the way. Well, the story
he's one of the writers.
Is one of the writers, yeah.
And it's making a lot of money. It was number 1 on Friday. We're recording this on Sunday, Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
After matter of factly, after the fact, happy Father's Day, whatever.
Father's Day, whatever. So obviously we don't have any kids, so yes. Oh.
I'm your sperm. It's whatever.
So it made a lot of money on Friday. It was number 1 for the day. It might win the weekend.
I'd say likely.
Probably likely, but I don't know if they'll do a sequel. There's a gag.
I think my personal opinion is no. I think that's what the
point was.
The point of the end of the movie. They have a gag we won't spoil, but it led me to believe that they were kind of saying this is it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
You cannot crank out too many of these types of movies.
You can't.
It would get really stale.
Yeah.
But two is just right.
I would love to see the two of them in a movie together.
Though. Yeah. They as a partnership should continue, definitely.
Kind of like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Just like that, yeah.
So
not quite that funny, but they're funny.
No, that's true. Yeah,
they are not at that level.
I can't wait till their next movie comes out. But so this the other thing that kind of grated on me a little bit, and this will kind of segue into our next part of the discussion, is that when I did my review for 21 Jump Street a couple years ago, one of the things that just really needled me about it, I was like, it's a really, really funny movie. The problem is, it has nothing to do with 21 Jump Street, the TV show.
No, except in the vague underlying premise.
Right,
exactly. That is the only thing.
21 Jump Street was one of the first shows for Fox, the Fox network. It was that, Tracy Ullman, and Married with Children.
Yeah, this predates The Simpsons. Which came from Tracy Ullman.
Exactly. Yeah, this predates The Simpsons. It came out in 1987, ran until 91, I think.
And we're talking. This was edgy drama.
It was exactly. It was an edgy drama. It was Johnny Depp's big break.
Whoa, sir! Johnny Depp's big break was in a little movie I like to call Nightmare on Elm Street. Thank you very much.
This was Johnny Depp's breakthrough role.
Whoa! You can just loop that.
And Peter DeLuise, son of Dom DeLuise.
Was he the son of Dom DeLuise?
Yes, and then his brother came in later in the series.
Oh, gosh, who was I talking to about this? Our friend Courtney.
Okay.
She mentioned Peter DeLuise, and I wasn't sure that was actually Dom's son.
Yes.
It is.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. He was Dom DeLuise's son. He ended up going more into directing, I think, after this, after 21 Jump Street. And then the two of them did show up in 21 Jump Street, the movie. They have cameos in that movie.
Right. Don't forget the later edition, Mr. Grieco.
I was getting to that.
Okay.
You also had Dustin Gwynn, who played Harry Truman Aoki. He was one of their cops, and Holly Robinson was in it.
She was one of the narcs as well.
Yeah, she was one of the narcs. She sang the theme song.
That's right.
21 Jump Street theme song.
21 Jump Street.
Yep. And she also showed up in 21 Jump Street, the movie. She had a cameo.
Yeah.
And Stephen Williams of X-Files fame, he was the captain. He was Captain Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much the core cast. And then a couple years later, they added
Johnny Depp Light,
Richard Grieco, who was Detective Booker, who went on to have his own show for one season.
Yeah, I was about to say, not very long season.
No. He had it was a one season show. I remember Booker mainly because it introduced me to the song "Hot in the City" by Billy Idol.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So that's why I loved about Booker.
Yeah.
But
was that the car jumping through the air?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was an '80s show.
Yeah,
of course the car was jumping through the air.
That was a shot in the dark.
I think they even had that in Golden Girls too. Rose is behind the wheel. Oh, Saint Elmo.
Sophia.
Oh, sorry, Sophia. But no, 21 Jump Street was a great show. It was a very teen-oriented show. The premise, obviously, if you've never seen any of the 21 Jump Street or even the movie or anything like that, is that these young-looking cops were in this basically this unit in the police force. The city's never really named.
No, it's filmed it very ambivalent.
They filmed it in Canada. This was one of the first shows that really filmed in Vancouver, I think.
Ambiguous. I said, man, whenever I get in these podcasts, I must sound like a fucking idiot to the audience. I always misuse words. It's my thing.
No, it is left ambiguous about what city it is. They just keep it's a mystery. They don't. It's they don't tell you where it is. But they filmed it in Vancouver, and this was just as that city was starting to become basically a substitute for other cities.
Yeah.
Because then X-Files ended up filming a lot of their stuff there too.
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
And it was an edgy drama, like Dirty A said, and they covered a lot of topics. I remember one was, I think one of the kids had AIDS or something like that.
Yeah.
One of the kids they were investigating, or was he gay and had AIDS, or he just had AIDS? I can't remember if he was gay. I'm sure they had a quote unquote gay episode as well.
Given that it was 87, I would say he was probably gay as well, because that was still
Or unless they were trying to break the stereotype, and then
it could maybe I don't know.
I can't remember.
But you're right. There was an episode like that. I mean, there were lots of controversial.
Yeah, they dealt with teen suicide and they were drug cops, so they were all about.
So they were in they were actually in high school, pretending to be in high school, which they played good gags off of that, especially in this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
The movie where
they go to college in this.
They constantly referencing how old they
look.
Yeah.
And they did that in the first one too.
They did.
Like, they. I think Rob Riggle says to Channing Tatum in the first one, he goes, "Holy cow!" He's like, "You had some kind of growth spurt or something?" He's like, yeah." But yeah, so 21 Jump Street was a great, great show. And then when they said that they're going to turn it into a comedy for a movie, I was just like, "Oh, come on!"
I rolled my eyes.
Yeah,
real big.
And
could not believe that they were going to. It was at the time that was what they were doing with remakes. It's like the formula of the day.
Green Hornet, the same thing. Yeah.
And but these two guys made it work.
Yes, they did. They made it work, and Jonah Hill was involved writing the first one as well.
Yeah, I think that helps a lot because he's such a funny guy, and he's funny, but he's also in touch with what people will find funny, like the market will find funny. Yeah. So he's a really good. He actually writes a lot more than you might think. That's where he started, basically.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, check 22 Jump Street out. It's well worth the $10 you're going to drop on this.
And if you have,
or $13 if you're in a bigger
market,
city,
and if you're so inclined, check out 21 Jump Street, the TV show. That's on DVD. It's all over the place. I can't remember if it's on Netflix or not. It might be. Considering
I've never looked it up.
Considering it's a Fox show, I would imagine it's probably on Hulu Plus. I would think,
maybe.
But definitely check that out. It was a decent
it's a
show.
Fun
for the time.
show.
It was a good show.
I don't remember. I couldn't even begin to tell you how well it might hold up if you were to watch it today.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was fun to watch.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
But as we said, 21 Jump Street, the TV show, debuted in 1987. Something else that happened in 1987 was Michael Jackson released his third solo album, Bad. And just about a month ago, his estate released a new posthumous album called XSCAPE. I guess that's how you got to pronounce it. Yeah. XSCAPE. That's incorrect. It's incorrect pronunciation. But it's this album called Escape, and I listened to the first track. Because like iTunes lets you listen to samples. I'm like, it's actually not bad.
They actually released the first track prior to that.
They did, yeah. It was a single, yeah. It's a song called Love Never Felt So Good.
Yes.
It's
good.
I'm like, this is a pretty good song. And then I clicked on some of the samples. I'm like, this is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Downloaded it, and it's a really great album.
Yeah, there's a couple on there that are...
There's a couple that are And basically what happened was these were unfinished songs that Michael Jackson was working on. All the vocals are his. And then they just got in modern-day producers to come in and polish them up. And basically they're taken from all... This is actually the second posthumous album they did with Michael Jackson. The first one came out the year after he died, in 2010. Yeah. He died in 2009, but they put the album out the next year. And that one came under some controversy because I think there was some songs where people were like, that's an impersonator, that's not Michael Jackson. But this one is fully Michael Jackson. They actually have... if you get the deluxe edition, there's like a second disc that has all the original.
It's basically you get the song, each song twice.
You get the new version, the new version, and then the demo.
The more, call it produced version,
right? And then the rougher demo, and they were taken from all eras of his career. Some are from Thriller, some are from Bad, some are from Dangerous, and you can kind of tell which ones are from which.
Except for Blue Gangsta.
Yeah, that song.
Fuck, that came from. That was a piece of crap right there.
Some people like that song. I didn't think it was that good.
I don't think it's great at all. I did not like it.
But it's a really, really good album. I was surprised at how much I liked it. And there's also Love Never Felt So Good. They also did a version with Justin Timberlake singing on it. Because they got to get the kids. They got to get the kids involved in Michael Jackson somehow.
I like Chicago.
Chicago's good.
I like that.
Lovin' You is good. And then there's a place. What is it? A Place Without No Name.
A Place with No Name, which is he basically uses the
a horse with no name.
America's a horse with no name.
And it works. It really works.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a really good album. So
I mean, when you first listen to it, you're like, why would he do that? I mean, it works, but you're still like,
I know this song.
Michael Jackson doesn't remake, sample, doesn't sample.
And then on Escape, the title track, which is a great song too. there's a little bit of Walk the Dinosaur in there in the horn section. You can hear it. It's like and I'm just like, oh man, that's Walk the Dinosaur.
Wow, I'll have to go back and listen to that.
But it's a really, really good album. Definitely check it out. So then we decided, we were thinking about reviewing this album for a while. And since, we didn't have much else to talk about with just the 22 Jump Street, we said, all right, well, we'll do a little retrospective on Michael Jackson.
He's only the king of pop.
He's only the king of pop. I remember when Michael Jackson died, I think everybody who of a certain age knew where they were. It was almost like a Kennedy thing, like when you ask people, where were you when Kennedy was shot? I was at work when Michael Jackson died. And we actually had on the TV, and the news was on, and all of a sudden all this breaking news came on. Michael Jackson getting rushed to the hospital, blah, blah, blah.
And of course he was already thick in the news because he was going into his new...
tour, yeah. Well, not tour. He was doing a residency in London.
It was a one show only, or one
venue
only type of deal.
Right.
Like, this is it. And he was... that was to kick off that summer.
Right.
And, then weeks later...
Yeah, and then he passed away. And,
with some controversy behind that.
Yeah. And it was just, it was amazing to me to see how, especially in this country, he had been basically vilified with all the controversy surrounding him. And, who knows, I don't know.
Get into that.
We won't get into that. But
we don't know what he did or didn't do. Anyone who wants to claim that they know can, suck my balls, because you have no idea. I mean, you have no idea, what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't, so I like to believe that didn't happen.
Right.
I mean, was he a fucked up guy? Yeah, but he literally spent his whole life in the spotlight. His entire life. I mean, we're talking from when he was five on.
Yeah.
He was in front of that fucking camera and behind that microphone in the studio. And that's going to play with your psyche.
Yeah.
So was he weird? Absolutely. Was he eccentric? Absolutely. Was he a molester? I don't think so, but who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't know. There's no way to tell, so there's no reason to vilify the man for it.
Oh, no, exactly. But what I'm saying is that in this country, he become kind of
absolutely.
a pariah.
Very, very a stigma around it.
Right. And as soon as he died, all of a sudden, it was like the 80s all over again.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was everywhere. Oh, Michael Jackson. There's a lot of bands, when something happens, like I remember like Depeche Mode when they were in LA, they had this record signing event and there were like thousands of people there. And of course all the news people were like, I haven't seen anything like this since the Beatles. Michael Jackson is the only artist where you can say you haven't seen anything like that since the Beatles. Right. Michael Jackson was, in the 80s, everybody loved Michael Jackson. If you said you didn't like Michael Jackson, you had no soul, basically.
It's true. And people like to retroactively go back and say that they didn't, or whatever.
Right.
But right after Bad, he just things started declining for him personally and musically too, for sure. But his look really dropped off.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
physically, I mean, his look and just his image just went through the shitter, basically.
Yeah.
But I always liked him. I mean, and you cannot deny his talent. You cannot deny his musical genius, his innovation in dance and song. I mean, it's undeniable, his talent.
Yeah, he was a hell of a performer.
Motherfucker had patents on dance moves and special shoes to help him dance.
Every kid when I was in elementary school, every kid tried to do the moonwalk. Everybody tried to do that. My mom was a huge Michael Jackson fan in the early days, in the 80s. We had his albums on LP, the first three, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. Off the Wall is an album that, first of all, if you look at the cover, I mean, it's Michael Jackson before he got his first nose job. Yep. It's Michael Jackson when he still looked black.
Big fro.
He had a big afro. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even look like Michael Jackson that we know.
Teenage Jackson.
That album is fantastic. Off the Wall is fantastic.
So good. Title tracks Off the Wall. The title track is a fucking
I mean, you've got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Rock with You.
And the thing with Michael Jackson was he didn't write all his songs. I know he wrote
Right.
Don't Stop to Get Enough, but Rod Temperton wrote Rock With You. And Rod Temperton is a big figure in Michael Jackson's work because he also wrote Thriller. He wrote the title track Thriller, and he wrote a couple other tracks.
Yeah,
Lady in My Life on Thriller.
They were big collaboration there.
Yeah. And that came about through Quincy Jones, who produced Michael Jackson's first 3 albums. Yeah. Personally, I feel that him not working with Quincy Jones after that is really what led to
that was,
his music becoming a little less relevant.
That was his best work, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, the partnership between Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones was incredible.
Yeah.
Off the Wall is an amazing album. Thriller, of course, what can you say? I mean, Thriller. Sometimes when I listen to Off the Wall, I'm like, I think I like Off the Wall better. It's but Thriller is just ridiculously good album. And then Bad, when you listen to Bad, I think Bad gets kind of like, of the 3 of them, kind of gets like the stick a little bit, but it's a really great album.
You think so? I think a lot of people like Bad. Bad's great.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's like, I don't know. I mean,
just because it's coming behind Thriller.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But he still delivered a fantastic album. I mean, I can't even tell you how many singles are on that album. I mean, like, almost every song is a single.
That's what I'm saying. It's like every single one of them, man.
He did and Bad's got all kinds of great tracks.
Dirty Diana's the best. I love.
You think so?
I love Dirty Diana. I don't know. It's just my thing, man.
That's not Dirty
Another
Diana.
Part of Me. It's also.
I love that song. That's a great song.
Man. I love
that's a great song.
Yeah.
Another Part of Me. Everybody loves Man in the Mirror. I like Man in the Mirror.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not my favorite, but it's certainly very catchy.
What's funny is that he didn't even write that song. Like, it became the song associated with him.
It's kind of his anthem of who he was at the time as a philanthropist.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he never really, he didn't write it. And I like Speed Demon a lot. I like that song.
Yeah, that's a fun
song.
That's a good one. I don't think that was an actual single, though.
It wasn't, no.
Yeah, that wasn't really.
The singles, I think, were Bad, Way You Make Me Feel,
Man in the Mirror,
Another Part of Me, Man in the Mirror, Smooth Criminal.
Of course, Smooth Criminal, yeah. Duh.
And was I Just Can't Stop Loving You? Was that a single too? I can't remember.
I Just Can't Stop. Yes, it was.
And then he had a single that was technically not on the LP. It was on the CD versions after Leave Me Alone.
Leave Me Alone. His
great song.
His anthem. Yeah. His anti-anthem to the...
which became his anthem Beyond.
Unfortunately, he kind of harped on that.
Every album after that.
On that issue with the paparazzi for a while there, yeah.
What happened was Leave Me Alone was basically just what it says. It was about tabloids and everything.
It's a weird fucking video, too.
It is a weird video. But he kind of like played up to all the weird stories that people have written about him.
Although I think that was on purpose.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. He did it.
The gimmick of the song, yeah.
It was almost like the video George Michael did for Outside. When when it took place in a bathroom with cops, and he was making fun of what happened, with him. That actually became the subject of Michael Jackson's career for the next few albums before he died. Yeah. Thriller, what can you really say about Thriller that hasn't already been said? I think it's the biggest album, still biggest selling album of all time. Yeah. Or it's either that or the Eagles' greatest hits, one of the two. I forget which one.
Thriller came back and surpassed.
It probably did. After he died, it probably did.
I think
it probably did.
Yeah.
Just hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yeah. More McCartney.
There was a McCartney. Well, that was their first collaboration.
That's right. The Girl.
Although I think did Paul McCartney write Girlfriend?
Yeah, he did. That's it. He did Off the Wall. Yeah. Yeah, he did. He
did write that. So. But he didn't sing on it.
Right. That he wrote that. But yeah, this was their first duet,
which was The Girl's Mine, and then they did Say after that, and then they had a falling out,
and then
because Paul McCartney suggested to Michael Jackson, he said, if you really want to make money, Michael, you should get involved in music publishing. And then Michael said, I'm going to take yours, Paul.
He said, oh, okay, I will buy.
And then he ended up
the Beatles catalog.
The Beatles,
Apple.
The Beatles catalog. The Beatles catalog came up for auction, and then Michael Jackson.
And the rumor was that they were such good friends. Mm-hmm. McCartney had confided in Jackson how he was trying to get up the money to buy back his catalog, and then Jackson came out basically from underneath him and
outbid him, and that destroyed their friendship.
Yeah, they were done after that.
Paul McCartney never forgave him after that.
And if that was true, who could blame him?
I think it is true. I mean, I saw an interview back in the day.
I want to believe it was probably more of Jackson's business, banker's decisions kind of thing.
Yeah,
I can't believe he would dick over a friend that way.
I've read all other things where people say
that's pretty bad.
That said Michael Jackson, in to the public face, he's like, oh, Michael Jackson, but like he was kind of like a ruthless businessman.
Because that's pretty. That is fucked up. That's a fucked up thing to do.
And then then the reason why you find Beatles songs in commercials now is because of Michael Jackson.
He sold
half of the rights to maintain his lavish lifestyle to Sony. To Sony, and that's when he started becoming really weird.
Yeah.
But Thriller, I remember Thriller. At the time when I was a little kid, the video freaked me the fuck out. I loved, but I mean, he was in heavy. He was, I think he was one of the first black artists on MTV, like the crossover,
right?
Because MTV was just coming into
and the video was not really a video. It was more. It was
a mini movie.
Yeah, John Landis directed it.
But I was talking about also Billie Jean. Beat It. Those two videos were in heavy rotation.
I think Billie Jean was the first.
Billie Jean was first,
right?
I think, and then Beat It, and then Thriller was like a mini movie, like you said, with John Landis.
Yeah. And Beat It, as we learned, was like I think Beat It was it first or. I think Beat It was first because it was the crossover because it had Van Halen on the guitar,
right?
So it was kind of that pop crossover hit for this black artist,
right,
into the mainstream. Yeah.
Right. And then he kind of led the way for other black artists to get on MTV and to the mainstream, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot more than he's even given credit for. And he's given credit for a lot. So.
And but Thriller, when I was a little kid, my mom, they got the video cassette because it came out on a video cassette, which had the video, which was a mini movie, and it also had like all the making of stuff on it too.
Yeah.
And my parents basically wouldn't let me watch it because they were like, this is freaky. The thing that freaked me out the most about the video was the werewolf stuff more than anything else. Him transforming the werewolf. The zombie stuff didn't bother me as much. Although there was some disgusting zombie stuff. That really didn't bother me as much.
Right.
Also, what freaked me out is when he turns into a zombie. And you're like,
no.
The first concert I ever saw was in 1984 was the Jacksons' My Brothers Need Money tour. I mean, the Victory Tour. The Victory Tour. In 1984, after Michael Jackson made all this money, won all these Grammys for Thriller, he went back with his brothers and made another album as the, quote, Jacksons.
I hate you that you saw that show.
Sorry, man. My dad and a neighbor went and slept out the night to get tickets. And even though they did that, because this is when this wasn't this was all pre-internet, all pre-phone call. You had to go.
You were at the store.
You had to go to the store and wait in line. And he was out there and with one of our neighbors, and Michael Jackson was still as big as an ant as far up as we were. We went to the Philadelphia show. It was at formerly, which is now it's been torn down, the JFK Stadium, and that's where the Army Navy game used to be played every year. They played there, and it was, from what I remember, I mean, because I was a little kid, and most of you had to watch the screen because he was so far away. But it was a fantastic show.
Yeah.
And the album that they put out with it was interesting because all Michael Jackson fans bought it, but Michael Jackson is kind of not on it that much. He was on State of Shock with Mick Jagger.
State of Shock, State of Shock, got me on my knees.
That's your sample of State of Shock.
Yeah.
And then there was Torture, which was all the Jacksons. And then it's like almost every single Jackson brother had a song on there. And you're just like, I don't give a shit about Tito and Randy. I want to hear Michael Jackson.
Well, that was obviously the gimmick for them making money, right?
But I like to call it now the My Brothers Need Money tour because I think I read, I'm pretty sure that I read about this, that Michael Jackson was kind of pressured into doing that. Yeah. So they could play off the success of Thriller.
I mean, he was used a lot just to make money.
Oh yeah,
like in background vocals and shit.
Yeah, and
somebody's watching me.
Rockwell, who was Berry Gordy's son.
Yeah, no, I think it was nephew or something.
Nephew, maybe his nephew. Yeah,
I don't think it was his son. It might be.
Berry Gordy was the founder of Motown, and he basically discovered the Jacksons and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
There's a video you can find online where Michael Jackson was, as Dirty A said, he was 5 years old, basically doing James Brown for Berry Gordy, and you could see right there that this kid had it. And so then he signed the Jacksons. So Berry Gordy's Rockwell was related to Berry Gordy, and then he got Michael, and he and Michael Jackson were friends as they grew up.
No, right. It wasn't just passing by collaboration,
right.
But it was just like, hey, friendo, would you mind singing background vocals for me?
And of course, Michael Jackson's part of the song is the best part of the song.
Of course,
he sings the chorus. He sings the chorus.
Yeah.
And that video was weird too. Oh, that was creepy. Yeah, that video was creepy as shit.
Very weird. Looking at the mailman from Smile.
No! And then Michael Jackson took some time off after Thriller, and then he finally put Bad out in 1987.
Favorite Thriller song? Go.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Hands down, Billie Jean. I love that song.
It's a great song. I think I got to go with Human Nature.
Oh, I love that song.
Love Human Nature.
Human Nature is a great song. Also a song he did not write.
That's right. When
Billie Jean, we do know he did though.
not his funeral, but his memorial. You know, the big televised memorial.
John Mayer.
John Mayer did the guitar
version,
instrumental version of Human Nature. It was so good.
Thank God he didn't sing it.
But it was so good. I just really like that song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Puts me in a relaxed place.
Yeah, it was a very great song. Favorite song off the bat when you said Dirty Diana.
Yeah, I got
it's another part.
I got to go with Dirty Diana. Well, another part of me is definitely right below there. I mean, it's just
on really Off the Wall. To me, it's a toss up between Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. Love that song.
I go with Rock With You.
Then after it's Bad for me, I associate with Bad. That was in '87. That's when I started getting into comic books, and so all of that is all tied up in it. You know, trips to the mall with my dad and having Bad and the cassette player and stuff. You know, so it's that's all tied up in that. I remember my birthday, I got Bad as the LP. I got that. I remember that was a big deal when I was a kid. Like
bad gift.
Yeah, I remember that.
Joke.
Nice. Thank you, Bert. I remember when I was a kid, it was a big deal. You know, like music today is so disposable, but back then, it was a big deal to get like a package, and you open up, it was like several LPs, and you're like, wow, awesome. You're like, that was like, you know, that was like a great birthday gift. Now it's like, it's just like, you just download off the internet. It's like, bleep, whatever. Music is so disposable, and it's kind of a shame, really.
It takes some of the thrill out of it a little bit.
It does, yeah.
But it's also nice to have it immediate access.
That is true too. Yeah, because I'm sure my Michael Jackson records are all scratched. Then, so that was 87.
Yeah. Dangerous is 91.
91 was Dangerous. And Dangerous,
it's a dangerous album.
Yeah. 91, I was already well into alternative music, like Depeche Mode and all the British bands and all that stuff. So
Michael Jackson was already well white.
Yes.
By this point. I mean that in to say the populist idea of the King of Pop had changed at this point. This is when he was, to a lot of people, seen as just differently. Oh, he's a weird guy now.
Yeah.
You know?
So Dangerous, I actually listened to Dangerous just the other day. Dangerous was, I never bought Dangerous until well after it had come out, and I think they reissued it on CD or something like that. And I was working for the record label at the time, and we worked with Sony BMG, so I got a free copy of it. Basically, I was like, oh, I'll get Dangerous, why not? And I listened to it just the other day. It's really not that good an album, I don't think. There are some really good songs on there.
Yeah, it was exactly right. There's some great singles,
but it is the epitome of.
You know what? Go ahead.
It's the epitome of a quote unquote CD album. It's a very overstuffed affair.
Right. It's okay. Here's a take on Dangerous, I guess. It's comparatively to his catalog.
Right.
It's not a good album, but if you want to compare it to, you know, the grand scheme of albums in the world ever made, it's not bad. It's just if you're going to compare it in the Michael Jackson realm of catalogs, it's definitely lower tier.
I mean, I'm looking at the times on these tracks. You got.
Do you remember the time?
I do. That's a good song. That's one of the great songs. Remember the time? Like what Dangerous? When I listened to it the other day, what Dangerous sounded like to me. It was like a desperate bid for him to stay relevant.
He was.
He was really.
He was trying to.
He really embraced hip hop, big, and that's not bad.
I mean, he beat the fuck out of that car.
He did. It's not bad that he tried to embrace hip hop, but Michael Jackson doesn't need rappers on his fucking songs, And it's something I was reading on Wikipedia. It's something that one of the producers, I think, talked him into.
See, that's what I think. I think it was more of a business people talking him into stuff,
but
and him not believing anymore. Hey, I'm fucking Michael Jackson.
Right. But what happened?
I create.
Right.
I create what the populace likes.
But what happened is that, and you know, if it was just a producer thing, I'd say no problem. But then on his next album, he did it. Yeah. And then on the last album he did before he died, Invincible, he had like 3 or 4 rappers on it. So it's just like, dude, you're Michael Jackson. You don't... Michael Jackson, I always saw more as like R&B, pop, not hip-hop.
Absolutely.
And so you got
Which is,
Jam...
again, why I hate Blue Gangsta off of his new album. Right. It just doesn't work for me.
You've got Jam, which was... I always remembered as the Michael Jordan song.
Of course, it's the Michael Jordan song.
He's in the video. Right. And Michael Jackson tries to play basketball against Michael Jordan. Hey, Michael Jackson, you're not Prince, okay? You can't play basketball.
Game.
Shoot the J.
Game.
Shoot the J.
Louses.
Computer Blue. Go. But Jam is like a decent song. In the Closet is a really, really good song. I like that song. The problem with the version on the album, it's 6.5 fucking minutes. It does not need to be 6.5 minutes.
No, let's cut that back to, what is it, Billy Joel said, cut it down to 3:05.
Yeah. Remember the Time, like you said, is a great... That was a very classic Michael Jackson song. Yeah. I remember that video because it was set in Egypt. Magic Johnson's in the video. Eddie Murphy.
Slew of...
and Iman.
Yeah, a slew of cameos in the video. Yeah.
Black and White was another attempt to be a crossover hit, I guess.
I liked it. Again, the rap part I would do with that. The song itself,
it was alright.
It was alright. I mean, I'm not going to throw it up there in my top 10 favorite Michael Jackson songs or anything, but it's alright.
I also liked Who Is It? That's a great track. Again, though, on the album, 6.5 minutes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that long.
Let's not forget the As I Deem the Free Willy song.
Which one's that? Will You Be There?
Will you be there?
Oh, God.
Hold me.
Yeah. Oh, that song's very short at 7 minutes 40 seconds. Okay, so like what this album felt like was that Michael Jackson was trying to make this, you know, quote, epic album, and it just feels overstuffed. And I likened it to Quincy Jones did not work on this album. And I think Quincy Jones was the steady hand that kept him kind of reined in and kind of unlocked his genius on the first 3 albums. And then now he did this album, and it was kind of like George Lucas with the prequel trilogy. There was no one there to say no to him. Yeah. And he just said, oh, let's make this song 12 hours long. Yeah, it's a great idea, Michael. Good job. And he just started... This is when you start to see a bunch of yes men around him, I think.
I think you're right. You made that point to me earlier, and I think you're probably right. So I just noticed the last track on that album
is Dangerous.
No, maybe is that the actual last track?
I think so. Yeah.
There's a track Gone Too Soon.
Oh, that's on there. I think. No, that's the second to last album track. Yeah. Gone Too Soon. Yeah. Dangerous is the last track, but it comes in at a tidy 7 minutes.
Very a lot of Michael Jackson. If you know nothing about his career and how he did things, he was an uber perfectionist about everything. Yeah, every little detail he wanted his hand in, and he wanted to make sure it was the way he wanted it. Yeah, so some of this is surprising, given that his level of perfection. I think. But again, like you said,
there was nobody to rein him in. So then he just went crazy with it. Yeah. So and it happened again and again on the last 2 albums as well. Like, Dangerous is 14 tracks. The next album he did was a double album, which was one half was a greatest hits. It was called History. One half was a greatest hits, and the other half was a new album, which was 15 goddamn tracks. I mean, you don't need a 15-track album.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
That album, History, and I actually liked History better than Dangerous.
What year was History?
95.
95.
I liked History better than Dangerous. It's got some interesting songs on there. Scream. A lot of people don't like that song. I like that song. That's his
good song.
That's his duet with his sister Janet. With Janet. I like that.
Weird video too.
Yes.
Playing some kind of cricket in space or something. I don't know.
I think it was the most expensive video they ever made.
It was at the time, or I don't mean maybe
it may still be. Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the time the most expensive.
Because it was a lot of computer generated stuff, and this was 95. This was like shortly after Jurassic Park. They Don't Care About Us. I like that song. That song got into some trouble because he had some. He had a slur, anti-Semitic slur on there.
That's right.
And if you got the album, my friend Josh had an original copy of the album that has it in there. Every subsequent version had it kind of kind of scratch. There's like a scratch over it, but you can hear it.
It's like if you buy Dire Straits Brothers in Arms with
oh yeah,
I think it was Brothers in Arms. I can't remember if it was that has Money for Nothing.
Oh,
they got that.
Oh really? Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
And,
they scratched that out too.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you won't hear that. You won't hear that on the radio.
Oh wow. Anymore. Oh, I figured not on the radio.
Well, no, but yeah, even if you buy the like remastered.
Really,
yeah.
That's interesting. Because in the day, it's right in the fucking video. You know, it's just
absolutely. Yeah.
There's a song in there, "Stranger in Moscow," which I really like a lot. I like that song a lot.
You're forgetting my personal favorite song ever. Earth Song.
Ugh. Earth Song is 6 minutes and 46 seconds.
Of tedious song listening.
If I was listening to because I listened to this album the other day too, and I kind of want to say I actually liked that better than the other tracks on Dangerous. The other, trying to be We Are the World songs.
Okay. I don't know, man. I for whatever
could be
reason,
wrong,
I do not like that song.
He did a song called DS. It was just the initials DS, and on the lyric sheet he says,
"Where's that?"
I'll tell you. It's on the lyric sheet. It says Dom Snedden or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell when he's singing in the song, it's really Tom Snedden or Tom something like that. That was the prosecutor that went after him in '94 for the child abuse charges.
So this would have been on
History.
History.
Yeah. So this was like his fuck you to that guy.
Okay.
And you can it's like in. Or I think it's like Dom Sheldon or something like that.
Huh.
But you can hear it when he's singing. He's singing the guy's
that.
real name. He's singing the guy's real name.
That's hilarious.
He had a song in there called Money, which I liked a lot. That was cool. He also had an ill-conceived cover of Come Together by the Beatles.
We didn't need that, Mike.
A couple other good songs on there, but then there's also a lot of bad songs on there. There's just a lot. He could have cut out probably 6 songs.
Yeah,
and it would have been fine.
Again, he started going with quantity over quality.
I mean, Shaquille O'Neal raps on one of these songs, for God's sakes. Okay, come on. I mean, come on, baby.
Over this man's history, if you will. I mean, obviously you can find things you're not going to like.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. What a career. What a talent.
Yeah.
That I feel privileged that we grew up.
Yeah.
In a time where we got to see his rise and subsequent fall, but it was.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I don't think we'll never see that again.
No. There's a lot of stars that have a lot of power, but I mean, Michael Jackson, he transcended.
He did.
He transcended.
I mean, you look at you have your Timberlakes now. Justin
right.
Timberlake, and he's got a lot of talent and can be compared in a lot of ways, but it's just he doesn't have
the audience.
The audience, but and the reason he doesn't have the audience is there's that unknown missing that Mike had.
Yeah.
Just
it's also I think because it's kind of like with TV and movies these days. There's so many other options.
Right.
I mean, music is like I said, music is very disposable these days, but music is also more accessible now than ever. I mean, you can go on the internet, you can go on YouTube and find a new band. You're just like, oh man, this is my new favorite band. These guys are great. You've never heard of them in your life.
Yeah, it's a different way.
It's a different.
To listen to music, how we approach music.
Yeah, and I think it's also reflected in society. Look at what's going on in politics and how liberals and conservatives they're like no. It's it's the same thing with music. People have what they listen to, and it's very insular, and it doesn't they don't really expand out. So. Michael Jackson, yeah, not you though. Not you.
No.
Michael Jackson, he crossed over all of that. You could probably find metal fans that like Michael Jackson. Oh man, Michael Jackson. Oh man, he's great. But you don't find that anymore. You're not going to find metal guys who are like, man, Justin Timberlake. Woo, he's the man.
The man had his own ride at Disney World.
Yeah, it's true.
Captain EO.
Captain EO. That's right.
Yeah.
He had that, and then he had Moonwalker, the movie. He had a fucking video game on Sega.
Yeah. Which was not a very good video game.
He was also very entwined in the whole ET thing, and he also got involved with ET.
Yeah.
He did a song.
He did do a song that was off of.
It was supposed to be around Thriller.
Yeah.
And he did a song that I think they put on some ET product or something like that. It wasn't in the movie.
I think that's where the whole Captain EO thing.
Yeah.
Came from.
Yeah. And because he worked with George Lucas on Captain EO.
Yep.
And so he probably met him through Spielberg.
Yep.
But yeah, it's, definitely go check out Escape, the new one.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the songs are really like a nice throwback to what he did, and the producers, what was great is that they really kept the focus on his vocals, and they just put some good music around it. I'm not going to go into his last album that he did before he died. There's one really really good song in there, "Rock My World," and that's it, and that's really all you need to get.
I was really happy with Escape.
Yeah,
XSCAPE.
And of course, the cover is like this weird cover, and like, really, but
but now he's out of my life.
Oh my God,
he's out of my life, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
I'm probably gonna cut this out.
Don't you cut out my Michael Jackson.
But that'll do it for this episode of the Hodgepodge Podcast. So, next episode, I have no idea what we're going to do.
I don't know, man. Well, again, send us some comments, questions.
Yes.
We don't know.
We have no idea what we're going to do.
We don't know where we'll go.
We're going to see a couple movies this week, but we don't know if they're going to be podcast worthy.
I've got a movie every day this week, but I don't know that any of them will make a podcast.
So the next episode could be a grab bag. Maybe we'll take a week off. Who knows?
We're busy.
But the episode after that...
Oh, no.
Yes, is the big one.
It's not. It's really not.
It's the big shit fest.
It's really not.
Transformers. Yeah. Eyes will bleed.
Blockbuster in disguise.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Because you don't look any Transformer from the cartoon. Transformers 4 comes out in 2 weeks. So, we'll see.
Doomsday is upon us.
The clock
has now struck 10.
Matt King wants... He has given us an ultimatum that if we get 10 people to donate to cancer charities, he will go to see Transformers 4. Folks, if you want to see Matt King on this podcast to make him talk about Transformers 4 and make him go see it, go donate to a cancer charity and then email us at thehodgepodgepodcast@gmail.com.
Any charity will do.
Any charity will do, and let us know. Hell, even if you donated to cancer charities in the past, just tell us, and we'll use that as evidence and make him go see the movie. So we will see you next time, and have a good week.
Thanks.